All right, last panel of the event, you guys. Let's jump in. So, Sean, we're going to start with you. And you're actually not a stranger to this stage because you were on it a few years back. And, of course, I know a lot of people say, well, of course, he's going to put someone from his team on. And no, that's not why you're up here. You're up here because in 2023, you closed how many units?
111.
111 units. Okay? And watch this. What percentage of those deals were self-generated?
Just about 85%.
85% of those were self-generated. So the next question a lot of people would say is, well, wait a minute, you're doing that much business, you're generating it, you don't need the team, right? That's like the classic thing. You know, agents are being recruited constantly, especially agents on teams. You can do this on your own. Why would you stay with the team?
It's a great question. Something that comes to mind immediately is something I learned early on in business is that nobody succeeds alone. So not only is there a benefit to my personal life and just less headache, sort of ease of mind. It's a nice collaborative space. As long as you find a good team locally, wherever you are, they'll help support you and make you better than you could be on your own.
So in your mind, you're thinking a good team is just as good, if not better, than a good brokerage.
Absolutely.
Yep. Now, Sean, you had an increase in production from 2022 and 2023. Obviously, we know the Detroit MLS stats. The average closings are down at about 19% year over year, according to our MLS in Detroit. And your volume went from 19 million to 24 million, and your units went from 107 to 111. So tell me how you had an increase. How did you maintain, even, by the way, that's a nice increase, but even if you did the same in a market that's down, that's still a win. So how were you able to maintain that?
Yep. So it took a lot of thinking. I'm a very habitual person as well. So prior to the week, for example, right, on Sundays, I always plan for the week ahead. Prior to 2022, I was heavily business planning, making sure that I knew it was probably going to be a tough year just based on what we had prior and what we were seeing coming up. So a few important things I looked at was how I can create the most value for my database, which is a great source of business for myself now.
Sound familiar? We just talked about that.
Yep. And just how I can learn and grow as a person, because I know that's going to help me with my business in the short term and the long term.
So you, like me, I mean, if anyone knows Sean, people tell me this a lot. You know, Sean is basically like you, Jeff. Like you basically came in and you were one of the few agents, because we have a lot of good agents, but you were one of the few that did literally 100% of what we taught. I mean, honestly, and there's only a handful. I mean, you would think there'd be more because they're in the environment every day, but no, you literally did 100%. Same schedule, that schedule I shared today, that you're following all of that verbatim, and it got you 111 units closed. So one of the things that I remember having the discussion with you around in the fall of 2022 is if we're going to have a decrease in sales, we're going to have to make that up by taking more listings. And in order to take more listings, we're going to have to go on more appointments. And to go on more appointments, can you talk about what you did with your contacts between 22 and 23?
Yep. So we knew up front I had to increase my contacts in order to sustain the same volume, or if not, to hope for the increase, because if not, if we kept it the same, you're going to go and move with the market, which is going to be declining.
Yeah. So if you kept your contacts the same and the market came down 20, you probably would have came down 20%. And so you increased your contacts from what to what from 2022 to 2023?
So 2022 was on average about 25, which is where it had been for probably 2 years, and then went up to about 30, 31 in 2023.
Got it. So it wasn't a massive increase, but you went from 25 contacts to just say 31 contacts on average per day. And is that 5 days a week or 6 days a week?
That's 6 days a week, and it was just that small intentional shift.
Yep.
Take it up front and run with it, and it worked out great.
So you were able to maintain and obviously do more by just tweaking the contacts, which is not surprising because that's what we talked about in the fall of 22 when we did the business plan. Of course, at the summit last year, I said on this stage in Orlando, if everyone would just increase their average contacts per day by 30%, they're going to be just fine. And only a handful listened, and you were one of them, and it worked out. So if I were in the audience, I might be wondering, 31 contacts a day, where are those contacts coming from?
Yep, good question. So mostly from new expired for sale by owners and lead follow-up.
New expires for sell by owners and lead follow-up. So tell us a little bit about your morning routine. What does it look like as it relates to making those contacts?
Sure. So typically in the office every day about 7:45.
Yep.
And do a little practice preparation. And 8 o'clock, I'm on the phones, reaching out for new contacts and prospective buyers and sellers, which of course, as a real estate agent, our number one job is always lead generation no matter what. Because if we don't have any leads to generate, then we have nothing else to do.
So at 8 o'clock, you start with expireds, I would imagine.
8 o'clock, I would start with expireds, all the new expireds for the day.
Yep.
And then immediately following that, usually that's about an hour, moving into the new for sale by owners.
Okay.
That is going to be a little less, maybe 30, 45 minutes.
Do you ever go back a day or two during that hour of expireds? Like, do you call yesterday's and the day before's?
No. So what I do actually is I will finish the new ones to FSBOs and then go back to the older expireds.
Got it. Okay. Do you? Yesterday I did the visual prior to Vulcan and the dialers and all that. I did the visual of no answer, no answer, no answer, and then 15, 20 minutes later start over. Do you follow that same method?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So you will go through the days, 15, 20, 30 minutes, and then you'll just go right back through the same days again. And then come 9 o'clock, you switch to
For sale by owners.
for sell by owners. And obviously some days there's more, some days there's less. How long does that take you?
30, 45 minutes.
30, 45 minutes. And are you also texting, emailing? What else is going on as you're making those calls?
A little bit of text messaging, email through the dialing system automatically is happening, so that's nice.
Got it. So you're using that feature in the dialer. And then when you say a little bit of texting, you're picking and choosing which ones you want to go after there.
Correct.
Perfect. So what happens after 9:30, 10 o'clock?
So 9:30, 10 o'clock comes. I've done all the new expireds for sale by owners, old expireds went through.
Yep.
And then I'll move on to the lead follow-up.
You're moving
which
on to
is-
lead follow-up.
Yep.
Okay. And what does that look like?
So good question. I was just going to say the lead follow-up should definitely be your strongest source of listings. I would say about 75% of my listings taken come from the lead follow-up.
Okay. 75% of the listings you take are not from the first call. They're from the lead follow-up. And that's the secret sauce, because a lot of agents are, if they do get good at this, things fall through the cracks constantly, right? They make a lot of contacts, they forget who said what. So a typical, let's just say expired, you have one conversation with, how many times are you following up with them before you give up on them?
Depending on the situation, I would say probably at least 7 to 10 times.
7 to 10 times. In what time frame?
Within about 3 weeks or less, and that can be calls or texts or emails.
7 to 10 times in 3 weeks or less. And most of your appointments are coming on reach out number 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do they ever say, leave me alone, you're bothering me?
Sometimes you'll get that. Not super often, because usually the motivated sellers encourage it, and even though they might not be ready that day or that call, a lot of times when they are ready, they do appreciate what you've done and how you've consistently followed up, which is huge. People really appreciate that. Always be professional, always be persistent,
Yep.
and then whenever they're ready,
Yeah.
they'll call you.
Motivated prospects love working with motivated agents, so you're not going to offend them. And from time to time, if you do offend somebody, then you just move on to the next. So you apologize, be
Yep.
professional, and you move
Yep,
on.
exactly.
Got it. So one of the things that I know that you're good with, at least from my observation, is your mindset and absolutely your discipline. Where does this stem from? Why is it important in your mind?
Yep, good question. So I would say it definitely stems from my father, childhood, just growing up, taught to work hard, and we don't take shortcuts, and hard work is definitely something that will always pay off. So you do your best to do the best that you can at whatever you're doing currently.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Your dad's got a strong work ethic? Yeah.
Yep.
I would think so. I just noticed on the screen there, I didn't actually think they were going to print that. I wrote down in my notes, basically everything via osmosis since 2019. Well, because no, honestly, we say we beta test everything at Glover Agency before we release it. So, like we have these 10 a.m. meetings, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. Well, you've gone through listing mastery multiple times. You've gone through buyer mastery multiple times. You've gone through every single program because we train our agents on it first, and then we refine it and make it neutral, and then we teach you how to take advantage of it. So, really, you have been through all of them. So talk to me a little bit about one thing that I know, for a younger guy yourself, especially with social media, there's a lot of shiny objects in this business. How do you stay away from all of the noise? And you seem very good at keeping your head down and focused and not chasing all the shining objects that most agents chase.
Yep, it's a good question. I have a very disciplined, strict schedule I follow, and basically I know, or I'll practice and research ahead of time what I need to do and execute on that. So I don't really care to see what else is going on at that time if I don't feel that it was already something I was going to implement prior.
Yep, got it. I love that answer. I know, obviously, at 111 transactions, you need help, and one of those is you have an executive assistant. So what does she do?
So my executive assistant, V, she does a great job. She is basically in charge of everything that I don't like to do.
Yep.
Right? A lot of the paperwork stuff or things that really, and to be frank, that she's better at than I am.
Yeah.
And so I can strictly focus on what I'm better at and what I love to do, which is the lead generation, taking listings and servicing the clients.
Is she doing any follow-up for you in addition when she's got downtime?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So you're involving her in the lead generation, lead follow-up?
Correct, yeah.
That's not her primary role?
No.
So tell us what that looks like.
Yep, so based on her schedule for the day, if anything else that needs to be done urgently is taken care of, or anything that she has scheduled for the day that she has to do is completed, then she'll go ahead and follow up with some buyer contacts or seller contacts of mine, sometimes just to make sure things don't slip through the cracks, like photos scheduling and maybe staging or getting things prepared, following up with sellers to make sure that they're on track for the time frame that I want for them to list the home.
Yep. And out of your 111 units, approximately how many were sellers? How many were buyers?
It's about 80% sellers.
So probably over 80 then were sellers.
Yeah, 85, 90-ish.
Wow. 85 to 90 closings were sellers. And so you did, 15, 20 buyer deals. Do you utilize the showing agent model?
I do, yep.
Okay, and why is that?
So I don't love to show homes myself. So again, sort of like the same thing. If I feel that someone else can better service the client, then I'll definitely want to do that for their best interest, as well as, again, I'm better at the lead generation and working with the sellers. So it's something that I can do to leverage my time to get that back to work on the sellers. And, it's worth it.
Wait, I was going to say, don't you have to pay them, though? Don't they take a portion of the commission?
Correct.
Why is it worth it?
It's worth it because that portion that they take, I can double, if not triple that with my time.
With your time, because you understand your return on your time. You know the dollar sign activity. Yep, love that. When you think about 2024, this year, what's your big focus for this year?
Big focus for this year is going to be more social media incorporation. I know I can do a better job with that, and I think that's no secret. It's 2024. Video is huge.
Yep.
And this is something that I always liked and I'm good at. I don't have that much time for though, unfortunately. Sure. So, going to incorporate a media company. Actually, Live on Real Media just made sense for me, and they told me if I plug them, I'd get a free month. So, there you
go. That's great. Well, they're all around, so they heard you plug them. So you're still capturing the footage and the photos and the video, but you're having someone else administer it.
Correct. Yeah, they'll take it, edit it, put it together, and put it out for me.
Tell us what your goal is for 2024.
2024, 150 units, 35 million in volume.
All right. Well, I got a feeling we're all rooting for you. Let's hear it for Sean. Nice job. All right.